Okay, let's look at what the impossible trinity is, sometimes called trilemma. Before we look at it, one step back, where to use this in an A-level economics paper? I would say save it for that evaluate monetary policy versus fiscal policy or monetary policy versus supply side policy essay, and use it as your top level 5 knockout paragraph to finish with, that AJ knockout. Check out my videos for how you do an AJ knockout later. So monetary policy, judgment paragraph, I'd use that maybe in evaluation. What is the impossible trinity? So there are 3 parts to it. Part 1 is that you have domestic monetary policy control. Part 2 is that you have free movement of capital between countries. And part 3 is that you have a fixed or stable exchange rate. These are all parts of monetary policy. What is the problem, the impossible trinity, is that you cannot have all 3 of these things at once. Let's look at why that's the case. Okay, let's take an example of an imaginary country, BizCon land. So, BizCon land has an interest rate of 4%. And we're assuming that the rest of the world has the interest rate of 4% as well. Now, BizCon land, economic growth was soaring for years. However, now it's reached a situation where they have a recession. And because they have a recession, they need to stimulate their economic growth through monetary policy. So they do that, lowering their interest rates, some conventional monetary policy. So they lower their interest rate from 4% to 1%, really going to boost that economy. So domestic monetary policy control, they have done that, they've exercised that. Free movement of capital between countries. So now that that's happened, it's likely that when you've got a higher interest rate in the rest of the world, there's going to be hot money outflows to the rest of the world because it's just more attractive for investors to be outside of BizCon land. That's sad times for myself, BizCon land governor. Okay, so what will happen is with free movement of capital between countries, this cash from BizCon land will go to the rest of the world. And we've got free movement of capital between countries. So great, we've ticked that box. We're 2 for 2. But if you get this situation with the lower interest rate now in BizCon land, it's likely that you're going to have a depreciation in your currency for the BizCon dollar, and therefore that depreciation cannot happen if you've got a fixed or stable exchange rate. So that's blown that one out of the water. The suppression, the depreciation in the exchange rate means that you're not going to have that stable exchange rate. Let's take a look at another example. So now we go the other way. We've got that same recession and we've had to reduce our interest rate from 4% to 1%. So we've used our domestic monetary control. That's great. We've used our powers to do that. And let's say in this example, we want to keep a fixed and stable exchange rate. Well, that's cool. We'll do that. We're 2 for 2. But the problem is, in order to keep that fixed, stable exchange rate, really, we need to block this movement of capital away from BizCon land to the rest of the world because of those higher interest rates in the rest of the world. So therefore, we need to have some capital control. We need to block this movement happening. Therefore, that's the opposite of free movement of capital between countries. We're 2 for 3. We can't do it that way. Let's try the other way. Okay, option number 3. Let's have a go with it. So imagine we're going to have a fixed and stable exchange rate. We're going to keep it stable. Cool, that's good. We're going to allow free capital between countries. Money can go out, money can come in. That's cool, we're 2 for 2. Right, we've got this recession and we're going to use our domestic monetary policy control. We've reduced our interest rate to 1%. That's great, we're 3 for 3. However, the problem is, now that you've allowed your free movement of capital between countries, so money can leave the country, well, there's going to be a real cry, as said before, to move the capital out of BizCon land into the rest of the world. So that's going to cause a big problem because you're trying to have a fixed exchange rate now. How are you going to keep that fixed or stable exchange rate? How you're going to do it is your government, the government of BizCon land, is going to have to buy up all the BizCon dollars. And they're going to have to keep doing that over and over and over again, prop up that currency. Eventually, they're going to run out of cash if they keep doing that. And that is not sustainable in the long run, which is why it is an